Hey guys, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning, here tonight to chat about this new Weezer album, OK Human. Weezer, Los Angeles based alternative rock legends who over the years have, put me through the ringer, man. I mean, let's be real, guys. We've literally been through everything with Weezer. I mean, we have classic, untouchable records like the Blue Album and Pinkerton, followed by a slew of pathetic excuses for anything resembling an album like the Green Album, which is not for me, sorry. Like Maladroid, Make Believe, the Red Album, and Ratitude, they are all pretty awful. We even then got this weird renaissance period from Weezer where they were dropping albums that I didn't think were that bad. For one, I don't think Hurley gets nearly as much credit as it does. Everything Will Be Alright in the End is pretty solid, and the White Album is just about the best thing they've done since Pinkerton. But ever since, Weezer have really made it hard for me once again. I thought Pacific Daydream was one of the worst albums they ever put out, and the Black Album wasn't that much better, and their Teal Covers album was just very hit and miss. But here we are, 2021. We get this surprise album out of nowhere. We still have Van Weezer to look forward to in May, and honestly, this album took me by a lot of surprise. This album starts off with all my favorite songs, and right off the bat, you get a pretty good taste of the direction this album is going. I mean, the last thing I expected to hear from Weezer right now was stripped down Baroque pop, but I'll be honest, it's pretty nice. It has that same sort of old, sort of nerdy humor that Weezer would always use in their early albums and for most of their career, for that matter, to be honest. But it also has the grace and elegance of a band that's aging pretty nicely. It's a nice turn for Weezer. It kind of sounds like where they should be right now. Not only that, but it's not nearly as cringeworthy as some of the stuff on their last few releases. And Aloo Gobi, honestly, I think is even better. I love the awkward lyrics and just how catchy the chorus is. It has a lot of the same elements as like the stuff on their White Album. Now I will say this, the amateurish charm on this track and on a lot of this album may not be for you, but I think they rock it rather nicely and it might be my favorite track here. The more I listen to tracks like Grapes of Wrath, I honestly think they do pretty well with this sound overall. There's a little drama to this one, it actually sounds really nice. And for my money, it's still catchy as hell, which has not always been the biggest problem for Weezer. I mean, honestly, more times than not, even if I hate an album from them, there'll at least be one or two really catchy tracks. And Numbers is a completely different animal. This one is much more emotional and quiet and super deep. It's also like the most Weezer thing here, which if you're a fan of them, which I am, at least, a good chunk of their albums, this will be right up your alley too. But it's super emotionally performed, and honestly, I just can't help but get caught up in this. Now, I really want to just say nothing but good things about this album, but the truth is, Weezer do drop the ball a little bit in the final act of it. Dead Roses, I had a lot of high hopes for. I like the darker sound on this track, but sadly, I think it's one of the cheesiest tracks here. I mean, it's catchy, but any of the tracks that I already mentioned are so much better. Everything Happens for a Reason, on the other hand, is just a big waste of time. And Here Comes the Rain has a lot of potential. It's very colorful. It's very stripped down. But once again, it's just the band's cheesiness that gets the best of them. And I don't know, I feel like on earlier tracks this could have worked. I feel like earlier on in the album I was much more receptive to them being a little cheesy. But at this point they just kind of sound like they dropped the ball. Outside of that, though, Weezer do nothing here but channel their inner Harry Nilsson or the Beatles even, and just do a really great job with churning out these really sweet Baroque pop and chamber pop tunes. Playing my piano took me a little bit more to get into. At first I really wasn't into just how light this track is, but it's Rivers' performance here that sounds really great. I mean, you can argue that this is a little simplistic. It certainly is. But I would certainly rather listen to this than hearing them desperately trying to keep up with the changing alternative rock landscape and falling on their faces. Mirror Image is super short, but God, is it memorable. It's just so sweet and sentimental. It's just such a great little love song. And Screens kind of mixes this album up just a little bit, at least just enough. It's a little bouncy in its riff. I mean, if you consider yourself a real power pop fan, this is definitely a track that you want to check out. It's also just so sharply written. And boy, Bird with a Broken Wing is awesome. Maybe my favorite track here. This is straight up gorgeous. I will even go as far as say, this is the best ballad they've wrote in freaking years. It's gorgeous, it's tender, it's emotional. It's also super ironic that the name of this album is OK Human. It's supposed to be a play on Radiohead's OK Computer. However, we are getting a slew of their most down-to-earth and emotional tracks in years. And Brea Tar Pits as a finale is great. I mean, it's more of the super quaint, super likable Baroque pop and chamber pop, but it continues to be super well written and passionately performed. I may be in the minority here, but I'm digging a lot of this album and I wouldn't mind hearing more in this style. I mean, these days it's really a crapshoot with Weezer. Like, you can either get something super enjoyable that you didn't expect to like, or something really awful that you saw coming from a mile away, but this is a nice little surprise. It's elegant, it's classy, it channels everything from the Beatles to Harry Nilsson. And yeah, it might be a little simple at times, but honestly, I didn't cringe once listening to this album, which I can't say about the last 4 Weezer albums. I almost wish this thing was longer, but I digress. I like this. This is a sweet and fun little chamber pop and Baroque pop album. I'm feeling a decent 8 on this thing, but let me know what you guys think down below. If you like the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, guys.